What is up, you guys? We are here for our weekly anchor message. We are basically taking a look at the spiritual lessons for the week ahead and what we might be working with through the week. So, from the wild unknown archetypes, we've got the ocean, we have the mountain, and we have the kiss. Along with the ocean, we've got King of Pentacles. Underneath mountain, we've got Two of Cups. And underneath the kiss, we've got the feminine King of Pentacles. All right, so I love this reading. It feels, I don't know, it's two-sided. There is a literal, like, material message that I believe is here, and then there's our deep self-reflective message that is here also. So we'll start with that self-reflection. So we've got the ocean here, which represents our depths, emotion, our internal world, the unconscious, right? And it feels like, there's something about this reading that's like we are, we've gone and reached, into our deepest depths, and we have reached for our greatest heights. And so there's this, like, I don't know, this very, like, sweeping, just very, I don't know if romantic is the right term, but something like, I don't know, the term "so thrive my soul," kind of like rings true for this. But the King of Pentacles here has found his footing. This is not gender specific. This is our, like, when we see the kings, the masculine kings in this deck, there is that feminine king, and I'll explain that in a second. But this is the way that we are expressing in our external form, right? In our physical way, the way we share with the world, the way that we take action and go about things and handle things. And so this King of Pentacles, he's the most grounded, he's the most stable, he's the most physically secure of the kings. And so it seems to me that paired with the ocean, it's like we've become comfortable and well-versed with plumbing our own depths. And because of that, we've reached a certain level of inner, like, emotional security. But because of that, it's like our outer world is becoming more stable as well. That's the point of the work that we've been doing, trying to dive into the subconscious and in the unconscious so that we can dig up anything that is lurking that's kind of causing blocks or chaos or instability in our lives, or even just having, like, these emotional ups and downs that tend to affect our decisions and our judgment. It's like we've been able to master that realm of emotions and get really level-headed. And it's not that we're not feeling our emotions. That's just the opposite. It's like now we are safe to feel the range of what the ocean has to express, right? When we're not comfortable with our emotions and we are afraid of them, we tend to suppress them, and then they blow up out of control, and we end up making decisions in life that are prompted by moods and feelings, and sometimes we're not even acknowledging them, right? Like, have you ever had any, like, pent up rage or pent up frustration or unexpressed grief? And so even though you're going through life and you feel stable and you feel consciously, okay, and nothing in your conscious mind is telling you like, I'm not doing this because of this, and oh, fuck them, and blah, blah, blah. You're not necessarily like that, but like at the same time, you might have this like low level pessimism or fear, or you might avoid like emotional situations, or maybe you get squirmy in intimacy, right? Because of the discomfort with your emotions. And because of that, it puts you in a precarious position. You're not stable like the King of Pentacles, right? Because you don't have complete control over your decisions. You're not sovereign over yourself. You're not fully aware of what's motivating you because we haven't wanted to look at it, right? But because we have decided, okay, I'm going to embrace my feelings and I'm going there. I'm diving deep and I'm getting comfortable, right? With all the gamut, all the range of my feelings. And because of that, we've learned how to navigate them. And like the king here, I love how it's depicting him having climbed up these antlers. And it's like he's got this perfect balance, even though he's positioned on these little points and there's very little give here. He's in a precarious spot, but at the same time, he looks completely comfortable and completely stable, and he's not going to be shaken off of his balance. So I think that this is really amazing because, let's think about just the ocean for a minute. How some people find the ocean fascinating and alluring, and it's so mysterious. There's like a whole world underneath the surface that is so vast and unexplored. There's so many creatures at the depths that we haven't even identified, we don't even know about, right? It's this alien world. It's like outer space under there. Same with our unconscious and our emotions and our depths, our own depths. When those start stirring up, we can, the currents start moving, and the currents, they influence us to go in different directions. And then when currents, start to collide and weather systems starts to happen, that can have a huge effect on a seafaring vessel, right? I know if you guys have ever seen videos on TikTok of the North Sea, yo ho. I started getting like hooked on these videos because the North Sea is so dangerous. And the interesting thing that makes it dangerous, I think, is the colliding currents and the shallowness of the sea. Because of that, it's like the waves can get enormous, and there's rogue waves and there's crazy storms on that sea all the time. And it's interesting too, because the shallowness of the ocean of the North Sea is what makes it so dangerous. And when we stay at the surface, there is so much danger in that, right? Because the storms can come and get out of control. But in the other parts of the ocean where there's more depth, when the ocean goes deeper, there's less tumultuousness on the surface of the water. Isn't that interesting? So even though it feels scary and frightening to be faced with such an unknown depth, you don't know how deep you're going to get in, right? When you get into like a submarine and you start going down and down and down and down and down, you're like, wow, is it ever going to end? Well, how much further can we go? Like, I don't even think we can get down there without, being crushed. So it's all very interesting. And then, we come back to the surface of the ocean, and you can have, beautiful, glassy, flat water 1 minute, and in an instant it can turn on you, and there can be a storm and waves and a typhoon and all sorts of things. Or maybe you have a nice day where you got some waves, you got some variety, and think about when you're by the beach, it's like you don't really want a flat ocean, you want a little bit of waves, a little bit of variety, a little bit of variance there. So it's like, okay, we're not afraid of our feelings anymore. And the further we've plumbed into our depths, it's like the more that we've uncovered that is becoming less threatening to us, right? Well, we can't see in those depths. That's what's dangerous, because then it comes up and we don't expect it and we don't know how to navigate that and how to process and how to practice self-control so that it doesn't affect our judgment. Our goal is to be like this King of Pentacles who can examine their feelings and feel them, and feel them fully and not deny them, but embrace their feelings. However, we can embrace our feelings and still choose with our wisdom and discernment how we want to show up in any given situation, how we want to act, how we want to take action. The choices that we want to make don't need to be based solely on our feelings. It's good to observe your feelings and feel them, and then take information from that that's helpful as you weigh out your decisions. But when we make our choices purely based on feelings, that gets us into a lot of trouble. I mean, have you guys ever dated a bad boy or a bad girl? Those feelings were great at first, but terrible decisions. Yeah, I mean, so many times. And the thing is that our feelings are changing, and they can be, fleeting, and they can be fickle. So your feelings aren't totally trustworthy all the time. They can fool you a little bit. So it takes a lot of practice and wisdom to be able to listen to your feelings and follow your heart, but hear the truth underneath the noise of your heart. And that takes discipline and practice and devotion to our spiritual path and our own inner work and our own inner healing, because the heart kind of needs to be purged and purified before it's completely trustworthy, right? Because the heart is an information processor, and it does communicate with us, and it is a bridge and a communication portal to our spirit, our higher self, and a Holy Spirit. And it's where the Christ center is. So Christ consciousness dwells and lives and is activated within our heart. But until we activate that and we start the process of, it's not even just that you can become saved or ask Jesus into your heart and it all is done for you. We can't be passive disciples. We have to be proactive. We have to go seek out our darkness so that we can pull everything up into the light and pull it out and unpack it and heal it and change it and pull out what doesn't belong there, what's not true. What are painful memories that are echoing there, that are giving us like a film or a cloudiness or like dirt or dust over our window of our perception, over that lens of our perception. So we have done this work and it's paying off. And so we're now finding that stability and that security. And because of the way that things are changing on the inside, it naturally is going to have an effect on how we are living and moving and have our being in the material world, in the outer world, in the physical world. So the pentacles are all about the material world and our physical life. And so it seems to me that this is really improving our situation. There's a level of self-mastery happening here that's also starting to make us more secure in our outer expression and then the way we show up, but also the conditions of our life are going to become more secure as well. And so we're plumbing our depths. And then next we have mountain. Mountain is like our journey, our progression, our sojourn through life. And the mountain, we take these paths up the mountain that wind up and around the mountain. And this is about the elevation of our soul, right? But it's a climb, it's a trek. It's not this flat, straight walk through an easy little, prairie, right? It's a climb. And there are, dangerous places along the way. And there are places that are difficult and that are steep, and then there are drop-offs, and there's scary, aspects as well. And the mountain has its own creatures that, can come after us and be threatening as well. So it takes courage and strength and determination to keep climbing up that mountain, right? I mean, look around you. Look at if you are on this channel, you're probably a person that is preoccupied with the deeper aspects of life and the bigger ideas, and your consciousness is awakened in a different way than the average person who might just be going through their day and finding something good to watch and maybe grabbing something to eat on the way home, and they hang out with their friends, and everything's so simple. And sometimes I'm just like, wow, what would it be like to have it so simple, to just be in this ignorant bliss of not wanting to work on yourself, and you just kind of are satisfied with like going to work and coming home and doing something on the weekend, and what's the vacation, what are we watching today, let's go watch the game. I mean, those people are not trekking up the mountain. It's difficult, it's hard, you have to keep on going, and it's like once you're in, you're like, well, do we go back? Is it easier to just keep going up? So it's not like everyone chooses to go up the mountain, and you have to keep choosing, and you have to stay motivated, right? You can't just give up. Once you're in, you'll be stranded there. So we've got this person who's gotten up to the top here, and they're inside this mountain, and there's like this fire. And I can't help but think of when God came down on Mount Sinai and revealed himself to Moses and the Israelites. And when he did that, when God's presence was on Mount Sinai with Moses, that's when Moses received a lot of the Torah, I believe. That's when Moses received the 10 Commandments and the covenant that God would have with the Israelites. And the Israelites represent a person who is becoming more like God. A person that has a covenant with God, a relationship with God, who is seeking to follow God and leaves behind the old way, right? So these are the God's chosen people, but God's chosen people also must choose God back. And so when God revealed this power, this magic to this miracle, this miraculous divinity to Moses, and that presence was on Mount Sinai, there was a temporary end to all pain and suffering, and disease was healed, and people's limbs were growing back, and there was for a time period there was no death. Everything was perfected and whole, right? And then when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, what happened? He found the Israelites who had teamed up with the mixed multitude, with the Babylonians, and the Babylonians had raised up a golden calf, right? The idol. Well, there's so many idols. We're not literally like making sacrifices to golden statues. I mean, some religions do, and some people do, but that's nowadays we think, oh, well, I'm not making sacrifices to a golden statue, so I don't worship idols. But we do, right? We worship everything that we forget to remember. Every time we forget that the light within the vessel is what we really want to connect with. And so we can idolize food. Oh, food's going to comfort me. Food's my answer. Oh, I want to idolize the television tonight. The TV is my answer. Or idolizing, thinking that the president of the United States is the answer. Or, putting people up on pedestals can be idols, but sometimes it's as simple as thinking that your job is your provider. And we get that all the time. I'm guilty of it too. I forget when I am in a moment of financial uncertainty, as a person who works in an industry where you don't have like the same check every week. You're kind of reliant on the ethics of others to tip properly. And so you idolize you idolize the tipper, you idolize the manager that's got all the power, right? And that's not even to say that you're worshiping these people or these factors and variables, but you're projecting all of the power onto those vessels, say, and you're perceiving them as the source of your provision, when all along what we need to realize is that they are vessels that are channels of the light, and it's always the light that's providing, right? It's not ever the vessel, right? When you are idolizing your romantic interest, right? When you're connecting with that person who's bringing you all this euphoria and excitement and joy and happiness, you're really connecting with the way that the light is projecting through them and interacting with that light that is expressed through them. It's not the vessel, it's not them, it's not the flesh, right? It's the God that lives within them, that animates them, right? That's dwelling and expressing that unique light through their soul. And so that person may come and go, but the light will always be there. And so when we connect with the light, and that's where we receive our fulfillment from, then we can't be owned by a relationship. You know, you own your sovereignty. If you can take it or leave it, you can let someone walk away, or you can walk away from a bad situation. You're never stuck again. You're never trapped. You're never afraid that something else won't work out, and you won't be afraid to be, you know, alone if you need to be, in order to free yourself from maybe a bad situation. So we've got the mountain here. So I feel like it's like we've gone, you know, into the deepest depths, and we're experiencing these high highs, and we're elevating, and we're reaching towards these concepts, right, that are exciting and elevated, and this whole expanse of consciousness that gives you a bigger view, right? When you're higher up, you can see further out. And the view, the perspective that you have from that vantage point is have you ever been up in the mountains and like looked out? It's awesome. It's breathtaking. The majesty of it all. You can really feel that awe. It's like when they talk about being God-fearing, yes, there's an aspect of it where you have a healthy respect for the power of God, right? And that hand of discipline that can come down when it needs to. But the God-fearing part of us that sees the wonder in a starry sky when there's no light pollution. You know, when you look out at the ocean and you might see a whale or something, or when you're up in those mountains and you're looking out and you see the peaks that go on for distances that you're like, when does it ever stop? And you feel that enormity of the planet, and you feel so tiny in the midst of it. That is God-fearing too, the awesomeness, seeing that awesomeness. So very exciting. So after having done this work and kind of shedding all the parts of us that aren't us, that aren't really authentic to us or our path, our path of elevation. And so, like, you know how we've been talking recently about aligning with our higher destiny and like jumping timelines. It's like this is we're having that happen now. And I feel like everything that is not in alignment with that, we've been shedding. And so that things that are in alignment, that do resonate, that do have affinity with us, that are true, can come in, and now we're attracting things that are more in alignment with that higher destiny, that higher timeline, or that different timeline that we're on now. So Two of Cups with this mountain, it's like we're gonna have kindred spirits to accompany us on the journey again, and people who see us and who connect with us on a soul level, and who share affinity with us, and who are in alignment with those values and that consciousness and those ideas. But this quite possibly could be, you know, a literal partner here, because we've got the Two of Cups is literally, I mean, there's hardly any other meaning to it than having another individual come into your life that you share, like that you strike up a bond with, that you have this like mutual esteem, and you are equally yoked, right? Like these are like twins. Maybe a new friendship blossoms or deepens, or maybe you meet a new romantic interest, or someone who could be like a deep kindred spirit, or like a soulmate friend, or even like a soulmate romantic partner could be coming in, because like these major changes, you know, and this level of self-mastery, we've got the King of Pentacles and the feminine King of Pentacles here. And so someone to share the journey with, and not just one person, but like more than like maybe like things turn around in your family and you get closer with your family than you ever have been, and then all of a sudden your friendships are blossoming and you start making even more friends, more of these like bosom buddies that you know you don't always have those in life, right? Sometimes we go through these seasons where we remember, we look back and we're like, oh, that group of friends, that was such a good time, and oh, the laughs that we had and the adventures, and oh my gosh, what quirky like nutcases, like, you know, and you just laugh hilariously with people. And unfortunately, life, you know, it's unpredictable, and so it can take people their separate ways, and many times we lose people along the way, and you know, to moving away, to maybe they start a family and they're not available anymore, and many times we lose people through death. And so we find ourselves at times and in junctures maybe kind of wistful for and longing for, you know, that kind of company again, to laugh with, to share with, the people that see you on a soul level for who you really are, and celebrate you like to your depths, that celebrate your deepest depths, when you're in your depths and when you're in your highest highs, right? High or low, good or bad, you know, through life's ups and downs, through all of the gamut of experience. It's like these people, you're going to start attracting like those lifelong friends, lifelong relationships that are fulfilling and meaningful. And so there could be a meeting of an equal here, because we've got king and not just queen, but like the feminine king. And so this deck includes a feminine, so it's got the male emperor and the empress, and then there's a feminine emperor. So there's like a feminine masculine version. In the face cards, there are the king and queen, but there's also a feminine king. And so the way I interpret the feminine kings, I don't know if in this deck they just did this to like be more inclusive in the gender spectrum now. But for me, it might have been a lucky accident by the artist, or it might have been intentional. But to me, this represents each of the suits, the wands, cups, pentacles, and swords. They have their own like essence. They represent a realm of our being, our governing forces. The pentacles are our physical world, the way we show up in mundane life. Then we've got the wands suit, and that is our sense of spirit and self-esteem, and our sense of industry and motivation and our relationship with God. And then we've got the cups suit, and that is all about our feelings and emotions and our relationships. And then we've got the swords suit, which is the realm of air. It's thought, it's our attitudes, it's our mental landscape. So when we have the page, that's like the youngest, least mature of our personality expression within the suit. And it usually comes with messages. The knights are a little bit more mature, but they're still not fully grounded. They are out in their building phase. They're adventure seeking. They're wanting to get all the experience and learn, and they're finding themselves. Well, the queen is mastered over the inner realms, right? The queen has become the master. She's self-mastered in the realm of her inner world, her ability to turn inward for intuition, her ability to receive, her ability to navigate through her feelings and the unconscious, and that female intuition, right? And men are intuitive as well, but this is just why the feminine, this is the divine feminine aspects of that suit. Now, the king would be the masculine mastered, the self-mastered masculine aspects of the suit. And the masculine aspects are more about the outer expression and giving and nurturing and protecting and doing things. It's like our taking action, how we build, and how have we built a kingdom that's solid? Can we govern our kingdom? And is it solid? Is it functional? So the king is like someone who is, fully self-mastered in the way that they express whatever the suit governs. Now, the feminine king is like the fully mastered feminine elements of the suit with the fully mastered masculine elements of the suit. And none of us are like fully mastered at anything, but this does indicate a certain level of achievement in this area and balance, right? And so it's like we've got two equal individuals here coming together in the Two of Cups. The Kiss card is here. The Kiss card is talking about coming together with spirit in a sacred moment where we connect with the divine, where we have that union with God and with Holy Spirit, and we're charged with that awe, right? And it's electric, and that there's like this excitement and this anticipation and intimacy in that. And then there's the connection where the breath is exchanged. The breath is like, it's the soul, it's exchanging the soul. And it touches spirit. And so there's like this aspect here within ourselves, like within our own personal journey, where we are like being acknowledged for like all the depth that we've been able to gain from the inner work that we've been doing, but also the heights of where we've been able to expand our consciousness and our awakening and our self-awareness and our practice of ourselves. Because of this, we've begun making these life changes that are shifting us into like a higher expression of ourselves and our lives. So it's like we're beginning to embody that higher self, and we're starting to walk in the direction that would lead us into that different timeline, that higher timeline, where we're starting to fulfill more of our potential and become surrounded by people who are kindreds and who are ready to take that journey, ready to be on that timeline with us. Now, there's also this aspect here of the kiss, which is this level of showing up now that we are awakened and maybe even connected with our higher purpose and our higher talents. And there's a part of us that's so excited to share and to give that it's come to a point where there's this connection with the sacred privilege of giving and receiving in equality, right? So it's like both are sacred. We have to be able to receive and give in equal balanced measure. And so the masculine represents the giving and the sharing, while the feminine represents receiving. Think about sex. It's like the masculine, think about a plug. Let's not get too graphic, but you plug a projectile into an outlet, right? Giving and receiving. So there's like this equal importance of both, right? We need to share and we need to give, but it's also equally important that we're able to graciously receive as well. Now think about the act of a kiss. When you give a kiss, you're also getting a kiss. And it takes both participants. It's like there's giving, there's receiving in the giving, right? When you share, there's something about it that's so fulfilling and it's so exciting and so satisfying, right? When the creator was not the creator, but God in God's full abstract fullness, before there was existence, before there was reality, before there was creation, the reason why there was ever a vessel created for the world to exist, for us to exist, was because God had a desire to share. It was too much. It was like everything was contained and it was wanting to spill out and express, but there's nothing to express to. There's no other. And so existence, everything started with a desire to share. And so in order to receive, we have to have the vessel to receive. We have to have the capacity to receive. So without the receiver, there is no thing to have, right? If a tree fell in the woods and no one was there to hear it, it doesn't make a sound, right? Well, the thing that I always focused on about that question is, if there's no receptor for the sound waves, then does it matter? Like, there's a sound wave there, but there's no one to receive the sound. So does it make a noise if there's no one there to witness it, right? It requires the receiver. So yeah, a kiss is receiving in the giving and giving in the receiving. And so they're both equally important. So I feel that there's something vital here about having revelation about becoming a vessel of sharing, right? That's the whole point of being that spiritual student, particularly in Kabbalah. What we do in Kabbalah is that we perfect the vessel so that the vessel can receive the light for the sake of sharing, not for receiving for the self alone. That's the ego's agenda. But we want to receive for the sake of sharing. It's like when I was studying these spiritual concepts for years, they were starting to almost eat me up inside because I needed to share them. I needed to get them out into the world. I needed to share them with others. And when I started this channel, it was like, there's so much excitement for me in this because I get to share everything that I'm learning, and I'm not just keeping it inside for me. You know, every time I hear something that could help someone, I'm the person that's like, please do this, please do this. I found this supplement that's amazing for your skin. And it also stopped my night sweats and it made my hair not stop falling out so much. It was thickening up my hair, and it started cushioning my joints, and there were so many extra benefits to this supplement that I was taking or I'm still taking it, but I was like, wow, this worked better than I thought. And I'm telling everybody about it. And just so you know what it is, it's from the YouTube commercials. Have you guys seen the commercials for the Beverly Hills Dermal Repair Complex? It's worth getting. Just go ahead and get the 6-month supply. It's amazing. I've never been so happy with a product. I would say watch the presentation, because then you get also the placebo add-on effect of knowing why it works, and then your brain helps make it work even better. But yeah, so anytime, and you guys know, I'm obsessed with To Be Magnetic. It is such a great structured program for getting into the subconscious and rewriting your nervous system and using your neuroplasticity. I love Kabbalah class. I'm always telling you guys about the Kabbalah Center. You can take Kabbalah class through the Kabbalah Center. And I don't like to keep a solution inside. If I know something that can help people, I want people to know. I want people to know about it. I wish that I could have been more help to my brother while he was alive, he struggled with so many things. You know what? It's like Jesus said, no prophet is accepted in their hometown. And it's always the people that are closest to us that we want to share with. And those are always the people that are like, get out of my face. I don't want to hear it. You're woo-woo. They're like, oh, like you would know, You're like, yo, just listen. I'm just telling you to drink water. Everyone knows you drink water. I told my mom for probably 15 years to drink water. And she'd never listen to me. And then one day, like, her best friend's daughter tells her to drink water. And, like, then she comes up to me. She's like, Rachel is telling me that, like, all of these things can be solved by just drinking water. And I'm like, I'm going to jump out the window. I swear. I'm going to flip a table. It's like water, but that's how it is. But there's so much receiving in the giving. It's an equal thing. And not only that, on a spiritual level, when we give and when we share, that like cleanses our negativity and elevates our soul. It moves some of that density off of that darkness side of the scale onto the light. And it actually it changes the trajectory of the whole cosmos, because this is not, everyone has their own little individual scale, but that scale is also like, it affects the cosmic scale of balance of good and evil in the world. And so the more that we give, the more that we transmute our own selfish nature and elevate that darkness, and it has a positive effect that keeps echoing and going on and on and on. Well, the receiver also is benefited because they gave the giver a chance to elevate. So you are giving someone an opportunity by graciously receiving what they are trying to give you. You're giving them an opportunity to elevate themselves. So, that helps if you're a person that has a hard time receiving and you feel like, oh, I don't want to put you out. Oh, you don't have to, don't make a fuss. Like, you don't have to help me. It's like, maybe it doesn't always tie into self-worth, which I think that many times it does, but I know sometimes we're just trying to help somebody else and we're trying to feel generous and like we're not taking. But if we're not in a motive of trying to get something out of someone and they want to give to you and they want to help you and they want to offer you something, it will bring them joy for you to receive with graciousness. How much do you love it when you give somebody something or you help them out and then they're like, oh, okay, thank you. And then it makes it so great for everybody. There was an example one night of like at work one day, I accidentally knocked over my friend Teresa's coffee one time. It was like I flailed and it was like right after our shift meeting and her coffee like flew out and it spilled on the floor. I was like, oh no. And I was like, what kind of coffee was it? I'll bring you one tomorrow. And I ended up like going to get her coffee, and then I got her like a little cake pop, and it was like so much fun. Like it was like the best. It was like even better than I knocked the coffee out of her hand, because the giving of the coffee to her was like, it was such a joy. And she's like, oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I'm like, I'm totally gonna do it. And it was such a treat for her the next day. She was so excited to get that coffee. And it happened again. I just ruined everybody's things. It happened again. My friend had his cigarettes in our shelf where we keep our drinks and our personal possessions. And I reached for something, knocked something over, and it spilled coffee onto his pack of cigarettes. And I was like, oh, which kind were those? And I'll bring you another pack. And he's like, no, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no, trust me. I was like, this was a good bonding moment with me and Teresa. You'll love it. And so I got him a pack of cigarettes. It was like, it took me a few days because I kept running late. But like when I finally did, it was like, it bonded us closer because he was so excited to get them. I was so excited to give them to him. And it was just like this loving moment of this innocent, just little exchange of sharing. But there is giving in the receiving. But I can't help but see, you guys, that we've got 2 of Cups here with a kiss. And the king and queen, or the king, 2 kings of pentacles, the king, the feminine king and the king. So I'm just thinking, especially based on our recent manifestation oracle reading, which was like soulmate relationship, and our last romance oracle reading, was like, this could be the one. I mean, it may not be true for everyone, but somebody out there might meet someone special soon. Or if you have started, maybe met someone recently, like things might go well. If you feel like this is like, legit someone who's your equal and who's also sincere and proactive, and there's like an equal reciprocity, this might be significant. And, two, you could be attracting more friends in that are going to be new friends, that are going to be like spiritual running buddies for you, that are going to have that same level of those values and self-awareness and a desire for growth and expansion. All right, y'all. I always think, oh, I don't know if I can talk about this for very long. I don't know how much there is to say. And then, 45 minutes later, we've got ourselves another very long video. So I apologize for being long-winded, you guys. But then again, I myself, I like to have a couple of videos to watch every morning. And a lot of the content creators that I love, they don't come out with a video every day, or they might have like a very short one. And sometimes I need a little bit of time in the morning to wake up and have my coffee and have something that fills me up and have something that takes up some time. So maybe that's true for you too. But you can always watch part, come back later, watch it while you're doing your chores, or just listen to it in the background. But either way, I always appreciate everyone who watches, and I'm thankful for your comments and your likes and your subscribes and all of it, because all of that is very encouraging to me, and it makes me feel like I'm talking to people who are out there. And also it helps other people find these messages too. So that's another example of giving and receiving. There are people who benefit just from you liking this video. So amazing. You can make a difference just by watching YouTube. All right, y'all. Well, I will see you tomorrow for our manifestation oracle message. Ciao.